The 2026 Grammy Awards were supposed to be a night of celebration, but what happened instead turned into one of the most explosive celebrity feuds in recent history. Nicki Minaj didn't just throw shade at Jay-Z during the ceremony, she went completely nuclear, posting dozens of messages on X throughout the night, accusing him of stealing millions from her and other artists. But here's where things took an unexpected turn. While everyone waited to see how Jay-Z would respond, it was Beyoncé who stepped into the ring, and what she said in defense of her husband has left the internet completely divided. Let me take you back to February 1st, 2026. The Grammy Awards were in full swing, and host Trevor Noah made what seemed like a harmless joke about Nicki Minaj's absence from the show, linking it to her recent political statement supporting Donald Trump. That joke was apparently the match that lit the fuse. Around 8 p.m. Eastern Time, Nicki started posting on X, and she didn't stop for hours. We're talking well past midnight. An absolute marathon of accusations and grievances aimed squarely at Jay-Z. But this wasn't just about hurt feelings over a joke. Nicki's rage had been building for years, and it all traces back to a deal that happened way back in 2015. That's when Jay-Z relaunched Tidal, the music streaming service he'd purchased for $56 million. He marketed it as something revolutionary, a streaming platform actually owned by the artists themselves. At a high-profile event in New York, 16 major artists were announced as co-owners of Tidal, each reportedly receiving a 3% equity stake in the company. The list was stacked with some of the biggest names in music: Beyonce, Rihanna, Kanye West, Madonna, J. Cole, and of course, Nicki Minaj. The deal sounded incredible on paper. These artists would promote Tidal, provide exclusive content, and help drive subscriber growth. In exchange, they'd own a piece of the pie. Nicki held up her end of the bargain. She released the Feeling Myself video exclusively on Tidal, actively endorsed the platform to her massive fan base, and did everything she was supposed to do as a partner in this venture. Fast forward to 2021. Jay-Z sold Tidal to Square, the payment company run by Jack Dorsey, for somewhere between $297 and $302 million. It was a massive payday. Media outlets like Variety reported that each of the artist owners received approximately $8.9 million from the sale. Sounds fair, right? Except Nicki tells a completely different story. According to her, she wasn't offered anywhere near that amount. She claims she was offered just $1 million and she rejected it immediately because she saw it for what it was: hush money designed to make her go away quietly. Nicki didn't go away quietly. By July 2025, her demands had escalated dramatically. She was now claiming Jay-Z owed her between $100 and $200 million when you factor in what she called accrued interest. She referred to this debt as karmic, tying it to her Gag Student of the Game initiative, where she promised to use any settlement money to pay off fans' tuition and student loans. The dispute wasn't just about money anymore. It had become deeply personal. Here's where things get complicated. Industry executive Steve Stoute came forward with a different version of events. He argued that Nicki and several other artists never actually completed the formal shareholder agreements. According to Stoute, many of these artists, including Nicki, never signed the final paperwork that would have made their equity stakes legally binding. If that's true, it would mean those promises of ownership were more promotional hype than actual legal agreements. Public records seem to support this claim. Filings from the UK's Companies House and the US Securities and Exchange Commission show that Tidal's holding company was primarily controlled by Jay-Z himself, with no explicit documentation of shared equity among the 16 artists. Nicki has repeatedly denied these counterclaims. She insists that the 2015 public signing event should count as a binding agreement, and she's accused Jay-Z and Roc Nation CEO Desiree Perez of deliberately withholding information and spreading lies about what artists actually received from the deal. And she's not the only artist who's had issues with Tidal. Kanye West sued the platform back in 2016 for $3 million in unpaid royalties and bonuses related to The Life of Pablo. That case was settled out of court, so we never got to see the details, but it shows a pattern of artists questioning whether Tidal delivered on its promises. The Breakfast Club hosts made a really important point during one of their discussions about this drama. Charlemagne, the god, said something along the lines of, "If someone owed me $200 million, I'd be in court, not on X." And that's the thing. As of February 2026, Nicki hasn't filed a lawsuit. Despite all her threats of litigation, despite all the public call-outs, she hasn't actually taken Jay-Z to court. Critics see this as a sign that maybe her claims don't have the legal backing they'd need to stand up in front of a judge. But the money dispute was just the foundation for what came next. By 2024, Nicki's accusations expanded way beyond Tidal. She started claiming that Jay-Z was actively sabotaging her career, and the Super Bowl became the perfect example of what she saw as his influence being used against other artists. In September 2024, the NFL announced that Kendrick Lamar would headline the Super Bowl halftime show in New Orleans. On the surface, that sounds great. Kendrick is one of the most critically acclaimed rappers of this generation. But there was one massive problem. The show was in New Orleans, and many people expected Lil Wayne, a New Orleans native and hometown hero, to get that slot. Nicki immediately jumped on this, accusing Jay-Z of ego-driven bias in the selection process. Jay-Z's company, Roc Nation, has been heavily involved in producing the Super Bowl halftime shows since 2019, so he definitely has influence over who gets picked. Nicki suggested that Jay-Z deliberately passed over Lil Wayne because of personal issues between them, and she framed this as yet another example of Jay-Z using his power to control narratives and opportunities in the music industry. Throughout all of this, Jay-Z and Roc Nation have maintained complete radio silence. They haven't issued a single public statement addressing Nicki's accusations, whether it's about the title money, the Super Bowl selection, or anything else. That silence has allowed Nicki's version of events to dominate the conversation on social media, with fans on platforms like X and Reddit endlessly debating whether her claims have merit or if this is all just conspiracy theories and sour grapes. Then came Grammy Night 2026 and everything exploded. For hours, Nicki posted message after message, laying out her grievances in real time. She didn't just talk about money. She made allegations about Jay-Z's past relationships with underage women, bringing up old rumors and accusations that have circulated for years but never been proven. These were serious, damaging claims, and they spread like wildfire across social media. Everyone expected Jay-Z to respond. Maybe a statement from his lawyers, maybe a carefully worded denial, maybe even a lawsuit for defamation. But instead, it was Beyoncé who broke her silence. According to multiple sources who were at private industry events in the days following Grammy Night, Beyoncé directly addressed Nicki's accusations, and she didn't hold back. Beyoncé reportedly defended her husband fiercely, calling Nicki's claims desperate and unfounded. She pointed out that Nicki has a pattern of publicly feuding with other artists and industry figures, from Cardi B to Megan Thee Stallion to Travis Scott, and she suggested that this latest attack on Jay-Z fits that same pattern. Beyoncé allegedly said that if Nicki truly believes she was owed money, she should pursue it through proper legal channels instead of trying to litigate in the court of public opinion. The message was clear: put up or shut up. What makes Beyoncé's intervention so significant is that she almost never gets involved in public feuds. She's known for staying above the fray, for letting her work speak for itself. The fact that she felt compelled to step in and defend Jay-Z tells you just how serious this situation has become. It's not just about money or missed opportunities anymore. It's about reputation, legacy, and the very real damage that accusations like this can cause. The internet, predictably, has been completely split on who to believe. Nicki's fans point to the fact that other artists have had similar disputes with Tidal, and they argue that where there's smoke, there's usually fire. They see her as someone who's finally speaking truth to power, calling out the gatekeepers who have controlled the music industry for decades. On the other side, Beyoncé's supporters and industry observers point to the lack of legal action and the absence of concrete evidence. They see Nicki as someone who's trying to stay relevant by creating controversy and targeting one of the most powerful couples in entertainment. As of right now, this feud shows no signs of cooling down. Nicki continues to post cryptic messages on social media. Beyoncé has reportedly cut off all professional ties with her, and Jay-Z remains silent. The question everyone's asking is, what happens next? Will Nicki finally file a lawsuit and force this into the legal system where actual evidence would have to be presented? Will more artists come forward with similar stories about Tidal and the promised equity stakes? Or will this eventually fade away like so many other celebrity feuds, remembered more for the drama than for any actual resolution? Here's what I want to know from you. Do you think Nicki has a legitimate case here, or is this all just noise? And if you were in her position, would you have handled it differently? Let me know in the comments below. And if you want to stay updated on how this whole situation develops, make sure you hit that subscribe button because something tells me this story is far from over.